As Christian men, we are called to surrender our lives to Jesus. To surrender to Jesus means to give in, not to give up. We are called to use our strengths, abilities, and opportunities to grow and prosper. We are called to strengthen ourselves, our families, and our communities. We are called to be disciplined, courageous, and honorable. This is Surrendered Strength. Men, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Surrendered Podcast. You're here because you're a Christian man and maybe you are struggling in your faith. Maybe you just want to be better about walking in faith through your health, through your marriage, through your business, and you want to lead in faith. So you're here, and that's what we're here. We're here to encourage you, to help you, to help you learn from my experiences, my mistakes, and from just other men's experiences when I have guests. So welcome. If it's your first time, welcome back. It's been a crazy summer. It is mid-June now, and it has just been crazy. In my own journey, in my own walk, it's there's days where I'm feeling good, and there's days where I'm struggling, and I'm sure you guys are the same way. But the more I focus on God, the more I focus on Jesus and just surrendering to Him, the more joy and peace I feel. And I hope you experience the same thing. But I know it is so easy to get distracted, to allow this world to just pull your focus away from God, away from your faith. And again, I get it. It's an everyday battle. And I want to say it's going to get better, but the more we walk in faith, the more the attacks are going to come. And I don't know if there's a point in our lives where it's going to be like, you know what? This guy, he's not worth it anymore. We've spent so many years trying to distract him, trying to get him to turn, that it's just not worth it. We're going to stop attacking him. And if we look at the book of Job and his situation and his challenges, I don't think Satan ever stopped tempting him or trying to get him to curse God. But God finally put up the hedge again and gave him some boundaries and gave him some distance between Satan and himself, like he had before. So I don't know if that's going to change for you. I don't know if it's going to change for me, but I know that we need to continue to walk in faith. So in this episode, before I get started, actually, if you are struggling and you just need some guidance, message me on Instagram, surrender.strength, and let's connect. Helping men to walk by faith, guiding men through that, because it's challenging. There's not many people doing this. There's not many people who are willing to talk about their faith, to live out their faith. And we need more of it. So now let's dive into today's episode. And so it's mid-June. Baseball season is in full swing. I've got a 6-year-old who's doing t-ball. I've got a 7-year-old who's doing coach pitch. And they they're just enjoying baseball. They enjoy baseball, and so it's in full swing. And we live in Iowa, and if you are a baseball fan, you may have heard of the Field of Dreams. And we are about an hour away from that. If you've not heard of Field of Dreams, it was originally a movie. Kevin Costner was the main character, and he his dad was a baseball player. He was a baseball fan, maybe not fanatic. I don't remember the storyline, but anyway, he leaves his dad um, very abruptly when he's 17 or 18, and ends up in Iowa, marries, starts a family, and he ends up on a small farm, and so he's a crop farmer, and he starts hearing this voice in in the field as he's working in the field, and so there's this movie that we watched as a family. It's actually the first time. I'm 37. It's the first time I actually ever watched the movie. I didn't grow up as a baseball fan, so it is what it is. But I watched the movie, and there was a few parts where I was kind of getting a little teary eyed. One part was where Ray, the main character, played by Kevin Costner, he sees his dream or his calling coming true. He sees what happens when you go after what you're called to do. And it was again, I was starting to tear up a little bit because that feeling of accomplishing something, especially that thing that you've been called to do, and seeing the end of it, maybe, if you will. That's got to be a beautiful feeling. I'm not there yet. There's still a lot of work for me to do, but I'm not there yet, and it's got to be a beautiful feeling. But as I was watching, that was the main thing that or a big point that stuck out to me. But another thing was in the beginning, Ray's hearing these voices, and the voices saying, "If you build it, they will come." And he's confused. He doesn't know what the heck's going on, and so he goes to some local farmers and just kind of asks some questions about, "Hey, you ever hear any voices while you're out in the field?" And they kind of call him out like, you're hearing voices. That's not normal. That's weird. And he gets self conscious as anybody would when they're basically being ostracized and made fun of for hearing voices. But the reality is, we all have that voice. We all have a voice. Honestly, I believe we all have multiple voices. Some voices are telling us to follow God. Some voices are telling us to do God's will. Some of them are telling us to do the opposite. I've been on calls as a law enforcement officer where speaking with suicidal subject that she said the voices told her to take the pills. And I get it. Like, we have voices. It's it's a matter of which voices are you going to listen to and allow you to be led by those voices. Which voices are going to lead you? Is it going to be God? Is it going to be the Holy Spirit? Or is it going to be a demon? And not saying we're all possessed, but I believe in the spiritual world. I believe in the spiritual realm. And there is a small voice, a still small voice, as the Bible talks about, that is inside of us. It's calling us. And if you're a Christian, you've already accepted the call, the initial call, to turn back to Jesus. to surrender to Jesus. But it doesn't end there. And then this is the same thing that happened in the movie Field of Dreams. The initial call was, if you build it, they will come. And the main character figures out, I think I'm supposed to build a baseball field right in the middle of my cash crop. So he tears down his cash crop, the thing that's going to pay his bills. He tears it down and builds this baseball field. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but there's some ghosts that show up. But that's not the end. That's just the initial calling. And so for us, becoming a Christian was the initial calling. Now, what's God calling you into as a Christian? And I can't answer that for you. I can help you answer that. I can guide you to some answers to help you hear that voice and to pause long enough to hear that voice and to get some clarity and some direction. But I can't answer what the voice is telling you, what God's calling you into. That's between you and God. But I truly believe that we all have this voice calling us into something greater. The question is, are you going to answer it? And if you are like most people, you're either running from it or you're trying to hide from it, or you're trying to suppress it. You're running, trying to do all these other different things. You're running, trying to follow other people's dreams, other people's goals, instead of following what you're being called into. Been there, I've done that, and it sucks, honestly, because you think like, oh, I'm doing all these things and nothing's happening. Maybe there's a little success, a worldly success, but it's not fulfilling. It's not, that's not what you're being called to, but you continue to run and hide. Other people, maybe they hear the voice or have heard the voice, but they don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen. They just want to keep living in their comfort, living in the known that they are living in. And when you hear the voice, you're not going into the known. You are going into the unknown, and that's what God does. He calls us into the unknown. He challenges our faith. Are we going to walk into the unknown with him? It's, for me, the image is always, it's dark, it's foggy, and all I can see is a dim light, which is a lantern that I'm holding in my hand, and I can only see the next step. I don't know what the end looks like. I don't know, maybe I'm right next to a cliff, and if I step left or right, I'm going off the edge. But if I follow the lantern, the dim lit lantern, where I can only see the next step and just trust in the next step, I'm not going to fall off the cliff. I'm going to stay on the path. So I don't know what that path is for you. I don't know what that calling is for you. I don't know what that looks like for you. But I know God is calling you into something. Are you going to continue to run from it? Are you going to continue to try and hide it? Are you going to continue to try and suppress it? This is you've already answered the first call. Most likely, if you're listening to this, you're a Christian. You've accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior. But now, what are you doing with that? It's no different than the parable of the talents, where the workers accept the talents what are you doing with what you've been given? And I'm not saying we all need to go out and become pastors, go to seminary school. I'm not saying that. I've contemplated that myself, but something in my heart says no. That's not right. That's not the path for me. So again, I don't know what that path is for you. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what God's calling you into. I know He's calling you into something, and you've either been running and hiding, like I have, like I did for many years, or you've been suppressed, or you're just suppressing it so you don't have to listen to it, and you numb yourself through alcohol, through drugs, through porn, through other entertainment, and you wonder why all the only emotions you feel now are anger and rage, and you have a short fuse, and you walk around pretending to be happy, but you're not actually happy. And this is exactly what happens when we run, we hide and suppress the voice, the calling. We lose our identity, we lose our purpose, we start believing lies, and we lose our faith in ourselves and our faith in God. So the question is, what are you going to do? How are you going to move forward? You know that calling, you know that voice. I'm not telling you anything new. So, men, I'm encouraging you to walk in faith, step in faith. And if you're struggling with that, connect with me. Surrendered.strength on Instagram. God bless. Thanks for listening. Connect with me on Instagram and Facebook at Surrendered Strength. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and live the Surrendered Strength Code. Discipline, courage, honor.